If you were able to make it through all of the foolishness, the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul hoax taught you a lesson about the difference between real power and pixels. In the annals of punched faces, cannot the face of Jake Paul be considered the most punchable face ever? It was a face that had all the personality and life experience of a ham that had been cooked in a can, having all of the smirky grifting in search of the luxurious life that the name conveys. It was the perfect representation of what an influencer should look like. There was not even the slightest possibility of genuine hardness, let alone truth, in it. This is nothing more than blandness, shrouded in a poseur pharaoh's beard and capped with some box-color bleached locks. And by God, did you ever want Mike Tyson to put his very real fist in it? In spite of the fact that Paul has had a messy career, if only to make him earn something for once. An individual who was 58 years old and had genuine scars and defects was present in a certain section of Jerry Jones's Sun Palace in Arlington, Texas. This individual nonetheless displayed a hint of genuine menace as he triumphed in the initial round of this peculiar tiny exhibition. When he smiled, his demons were still visible to others. Who suffered from ulcers that were bleeding? Who served time in prison for the crime of rape? His mother worked as a prostitute in order to provide for him while he was growing up in the tenements of Brownsville, New York. Who, at the age of 20, became the undisputed world heavyweight champion, and whose 50 victories, including 44 knockouts, were little in comparison to his troubled youth and his struggles with substance abuse. If you are looking for anything genuine, you should read his autobiography, which is titled Undisputed Truth, if you are able to do so. As he fought in nothing but a stark pair of black shoes and shorts, he launched arcing overhands, which he used to refer to as heavy punches with bad intentions. For a little moment he continued to be terrifying. However, the weight was now being carried by his legs, one of which was wrapped in a heavy blanket. Located in the other corner is a YouTuber who is 27 years old and hails from the suburb of Westlake, Ohio. This individual has not a single real-world experience or accomplishment to their name, and they were born in the same year that Tyson Holyfield bit Evander Holyfield's ear off. The song It's Everyday Bro was released by Paul in the year 2017, and it was in this song that he promoted his growing internet following by utilizing phrases such as It's Everyday Bro with the Disney Channel flow, 5 million, YouTube in 6 months, never done before. Not to mention, don't overlook this timeless pairing. I have just released some new merchandise and it is selling like a god, church, the artist said. This so-called battle was a Netflix production that was advertised by Guttural Braying and was apparently intended to be a bros companion piece to the Tom Brady roast. Paul continued to do his best to sell merchandise related to this fight throughout the entire week. The statement that Paul made was, "I'm here to make $40 million and knock out a legend." In point of fact, he was unable to defeat a stiff-kneed old man who was twice his age and had 5 inches less of reach than he did. The following question was posed to Paul by a reporter from Dallas during the pre-fight news conference. You've stated that you want to be taken seriously as a boxer. When can we anticipate that you will begin competing against legitimate fighters in the weight class that you are now competing in? Tony Bellew, a retired boxer turned commentator, stormed the event as a gimmick and yelled into a portable microphone that Paul should try fighting a great-grandfather next. This was the only genuine sentiment that was expressed during all of the pre-fight excitement. That passion came from Tony Bellew. The only thing that should be taken seriously was Tyson himself, who, in the weeks leading up to the fight, expressed how beneficial the training had been for him, and who hopefully had a decent salary for facilitating the farce, was the only thing that should be taken seriously. As Tyson pointed out, Paul's reputation as a killing fighter was manufactured, especially considering that he had not even put on a pair of gloves for the past 4 years. It's possible that Paul should be given some credit for his efforts to become a more capable amateur by putting on weight and training himself. But then again, what else does he have to do with his everyday life? It is safe to say that Tyson did not feel overly scared by the Disney clown, and he believed that his old reflexes would be able to pull him through without any problems. This is a nuclear weapon, which is the most lethal weapon that has ever been made on the globe. Paul let out a whinnied sound. Not a single one of things could be trusted. Due to the fact that there were not two professional boxers competing in this so-called event, a half-dozen states chose not to permit wagers to be placed regarding it. Not only was there a champion who had been retired for a very long time and was working on his waistline, but there was also a stuntman who, up until very recently, was a poor man's version of Justin Timberlake from his Mickey Mouse heyday. When asked before the fight whether Paul was capable of taking a hit, Holyfield simply shrugged his shoulders. "I'm not sure," she said. "I have never witnessed him being struck," he stated. At the very least, Tyson brought some weight to the proceedings regardless of whether he won or lost, whether he was bloodied or not. He appeared to have been produced by tectonic plates when they weighed him in since he was so powerfully built. And then here came Paul in all of his beefy broness ape crawling across the platform to greet him, and to his surprise he stepped on his foot. An announcer yelled out, slapping the taste out of his mouth, as Tyson slapped him across the face with his open palm, which was so forceful that it snapped Paul's head to the side. Was it just for the show? A natural reflexive response to such visceral filth? Or was it something else entirely? By the time they reached the ring around midnight, the fight appeared to be completely fraudulent in comparison to the fighting that was taking place on the undercard, which was actually rather tense. At least those were worth the time that was spent watching them. A quality fight for the WBC Welterweight Championship ended in a split draw between the reigning champion Mario Barrios and Abel Ramos, and the rematch between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano was a fascinating and bloodily staggering affair. In a single round, they exchanged a staggering 170 punches. After that, Paul made a gaseous entrance between jets of air while wearing a pair of shorts that Netflix was reliably assured was stitched with 380 diamonds and worth $1 million. Tyson made his way to his corner while grimacing and lumbering slowly. He was dressed in his normal and adorned black attire and appeared to be in a gloomy mood. Only 97 punches would be thrown by him in all, and only 18 of them would land. Nevertheless, those few were flushed to a satisfying degree. There were just a few examples of actual power being extended to pixels.